Welcome back to another video with Average Guy's Garage. So we're back at it. This is part 9. We left off, we're going to have to take this off again for the fuel rail because this bracket here has to go underneath this bar, and it won't go under that bar. It's got to go on first. This has to go on over. So that'll be the next step. Then we'll move on from there. It's sorting out pretty well where all of the harnesses go. Keep going. The fuel rail is now in place and the wiring harness that goes with it. There's a bolt here and here that goes to the intake manifold that holds the bracket for the wiring harness. Then each of the fuel injectors have a connection. Then there's a connection that runs down here. This bracket goes behind this rail and over the top here. And let's see what else. There's a couple of grounding straps here, and I don't think they go together. I think one goes on each of these two here, and then the coil, this is supposed to go on here, so I gotta take that off and put this back on. And do that now. So this is now connected on the coil rail. I connected these two grounding and found a few of these connectors over on this side that needed to be connected up. Still have a few though that need places to go. I think next I'm going to come here. There's a bracket that's right in here that I took off earlier. I need to put that bracket back on. Well, we're getting a little bit of rain. I'm gonna have to stop for a minute. I've put this bracket here back on top of the transmission that holds this shifter cable right here. We have this harness here for the battery, and then I'm going to hook up some of these hoses here, get these hooked back up, and then put the throttle body back on here. Find out where all these connections go to. A couple of these go to the throttle body right here. I can see there's one that needs to go back right here, a hose, and there's another one in the back right here. I've got to hook back up. Then there's a larger hose right here. I think this is for the radiator, the upper hose. Well, I've run into a couple of issues here getting the wiring harness back in. Number one is this harness here needs to go, this harness right here that comes back to the positive terminal and goes down to the starter. It's been wrapped with black tape here, but it needs to be on top of this shifter cable because there's a little clip for it right here to fit in, and it won't go unless it's on top of this. And the only way to redirect that is I've got to take the shift cable off again and then reroute underneath. Same is true here for this throttle linkage here. it needs to be on top of this, not underneath. So it can, because this cable here won't allow it to stretch over. So I've got to take off the shift cable again and get it to ride underneath this cable and this cable. Little update to what I've been doing. I've put the throttle body back on, attached these throttle cables. This one here, I believe, is the kickback cable or kickdown cable. This is the one that goes around to that device right there. I have attached all of the hoses, pneumatic and other type of pressure hoses. They're all hooked back up now from here to the brake booster down. I hooked that bracket up. The only thing I still have is this right here, and it was mounted, but I'm not sure where it went. I need to look that up, find out where that mounts to and get it mounted. Got this long connector here, which this probably goes into the air box. This might have attached to the side of the air box as well. So the next thing to do, I think all this is done now. Of course the radiator is out, and I haven't put this overflow box in, so I need to put that back in. I hooked up the harness to the transmission. There's two cables down here. So I'm getting close. I'm going to put the battery, put this overflow in, put the battery box back in, put the air filter and air filter box back in, and then see if that is everything. The other thing is I have a couple of connectors here. I don't know where they went. Need to find out where those go. And I have this thing right here that's just been around and around for a few days. I don't know where that goes. So there's still a little bit more to go, but good progress. Once all this work up top is done, then I'll put those half shafts back in, and then we should be able to fire it up. Hopefully by tomorrow. We'll keep at it. The overflow bottle is now in. I set the tray back in for the battery. I put also the air box in, and this did in fact connect right here to the air box, so that took care of that. So now I'll put this back in, and there, as you can see, there's lots of electrical connectors here. There's one air pneumatic here that's going to go right with this guy, and I've got two connectors here that will go here and here on this side. I also had hooked, I think I already said this, these throttles here, and these pins are different sizes, so you can't mix them up. This is a smaller one on the driver's side and a larger one here on the passenger side. So when I got this filter box back on, I noticed that there was this bracket right here, and this throttle cable was actually underneath and making a weird turn, but I remembered then that this was holding the throttle cable, so I disconnected it from here, careful to make sure that I kept my distances here on these screws, and I pushed it under and back around so I could loop that the correct way and it wouldn't be binding up. So I think at this point I don't have any loose connectors here toward the back of the engine. That's all connected. I can put the battery back in there. The radiator's ready to go in. I still got to get that bolt for the starter. And then once the radiator's in, I got to figure out where these connectors went to here. Then we'll be well on the way to starting to put the half shafts back in. This can go on here. Moving along. So I had a little rain delay here, so I went to Ace Hardware and I bought a washer and a nut here for the starter because I had lost those two pieces. So now I can put the starter on and then get the radiator in.
Then I'm going to end up.
The starter is now in place. The next item will be the radiator, and we'll see how many of these connections here go to the radiator. We've got 1, 2, and there's these 3 here, but I'm not sure where they go yet, if they even went anywhere. There's fans, there's temperature sensors. There's another one down here. So we'll get the radiator in and then call it a day. I'm losing daylight. The radiator has a couple of grommets in the bottom, rubber grommets that fits into 2 holes at the bottom of each side, and then it has these little brackets here with a little rubber shock absorber. We'll put this in and get it started. Alright, and we have this overflow. Goes down in here. Alright, so then I've got an electrical connector here. It obviously goes right there. And then we have one over here that goes right here. And yet I'm still don't know where these go here. I know they don't sit here and rub against the fan, so I know that's not right. I think I have to take out that lower connector right here. It's kind of hard to see now, I'm losing lower connector and run it on the back side of this. So this isn't touching the fan. So that's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to get the fan belt on, get these hoses cinched up on the radiator, and tomorrow I'll have to move down underneath and get the suspension bolted up. That rear motor mount, have a long extension to put that in. I mean, it's already in, but I have to tighten down the bolt. All the other mounts are tightened. And then we'll figure out, then we'll put the axles, the half axles back in. Get the wheels back together. Make sure everything's where it should be. And then we'll start her up. Thanks for watching.